as we start with some meat. I have some boneless short ribs on the left and some pieces of pork shoulder on the right. I also have a piece of ribeye train that I will use about half of here. I'm just adding this because it will add a bit of additional moisture, and since I have it already, why not use it? So whatever types of meat you have available to you, we now just cut them up into manageable pieces that will fit through your meat grinder. You can just buy ground beef and pork, of course, but grinding your own always has a better texture in my opinion. All the pieces of meat will now go into the freezer to firm up for about 30 minutes. I always put the meat grinding attachments into the freezer also before grinding. It makes for a nice clean grind, FYI. Just grind it up all together. I used the small die on this grinder since I wanted a fine grind on this. We are shooting for around 70-30 meat to fat ratio here, but of course 80-20 will be just fine. And now we have a nice beef pork blend here. We're basically making a sausage-like consistency at the end. We will now add some spices that will not overpower the meat too much. Some salt, black pepper, granulated garlic, and granulated onion, and a little bit of Cajun seasoning. For the amount of meat here, I went a bit easy on the spices because since we'll be smoking it and adding barbecue sauce, I wanted the flavors of the meat to come through. Just mix that all up loosely for a moment. I have some cream cheese that has been sitting out to soften. I used about that much just by eyeballing the measurements. Also, some smoked Gouda cheese. This is one of my favorite cheeses, especially when adding it to barbecue recipes. Just shred it up and toss it in. Now we mix it very well. Don't be gentle here when mixing. Make sure that everything is smashed and mashed together, and it should all want to hold together and be very sticky and tacky in the end, just like sausage. Yeah, you could just buy sausage and use that, but doesn't this seem so much better? We have some manicotti tubes, and these will be the shells for our shotgun shells. Basically, you just stuff them with the meat. Best way is to just use your hands. It's a little bit tedious and will take some time, so be patient. I've seen people try to use a piping bag, but good luck with that if you have a nice sticky and tacky sausage mixture like this. You could make the mixture much looser, and in that case, a piping bag will work, kind of. But if you want to ensure that they are completely filled all the way through, just use your fingers and save yourself the trouble. By making the sausage dense and tacky like we have here, the filling won't come oozing out of the sides while cooking, I promise. Once all of your shells are stuffed like so, time to wrap them up in bacon. You want to use a bacon that's not too thin, but also not too thick. This is just regular bacon without any extra flavors like applewood or maple or anything. Not that applewood or other flavored bacon won't be awesome, but I wanted to control the flavor profile and we'll be adding sauce, so the choice is always yours. You can see how I just start at one end and slowly wrap up one piece around each shell and try to cover the whole thing completely. When all your shells are nicely wrapped and looking uniform like this, I like to pop them in the fridge for about 10 minutes before cooking them. It helps the bacon adhere to the shells so that it won't unravel on you while cooking. Now we could just use an oven to bake them, but I heard that you're supposed to smoke them. And since I don't have a smoker, a kettle-style grill will do just fine. Just make sure to push all the coals on one side into a pile. I just added one chunk of wood to it. This is cherry wood, by the way, and this will create plenty of smoke flavor without overpowering it. You want the temperature of the grill to be around 300 degrees, give or take. Arrange the shotgun shells on the offset side of the grill as best you can. You want to keep a little space in between each one so that they won't stick together, but more to allow even heat and smoke circulation while cooking. I felt like adding a bit of moisture in there since the shells are made of dry pasta, so I added a small container of water into the grill, and these typically will go for around an hour. So in the meantime, let's make a barbecue sauce to glaze them with, starting with some ketchup as the base and some plain yellow mustard, a bit of wash your sister sauce, some hot sauce, preferably for this flavor profile, a cayenne-based sauce, a bit of molasses, only about 2 teaspoons. Just don't overdo the molasses or it will dominate all the other flavors. A scoop of creamed honey. You can use regular honey too, that will be fine. Some cumin, and yeah, I usually toast and grind my own, but I was lazy today. A little bit of dark chili powder, some smoked paprika, ancho chili powder, some brown sugar, kosher salt, granulated garlic, granulated onion, black pepper, a dash of vinegar, a good splash of bourbon, and lastly, some ground coriander seed. Now just turn the heat on it, stir it up well, and cook it for a few minutes just to bring everything together. It should just bubble gently. You don't want to burn all the sugars in there. This won't take long at all and is easy to make, so I don't know why people buy pre-made sauces at all. This particular sauce is out of this world good, so definitely give it a try. Make sure to taste it at the end so you can tweak the flavors as needed. In my case, I just decided for one more little splash of bourbon at the end and it was perfect. And now we have a perfectly sweet, spicy, and tangy barbecue sauce to glaze up our shells with. It's not too thick and not too thin, just perfect for any barbecue really, no matter what you're cooking. So after about an hour and 10 minutes to be exact in my case, they are ready to go. You can always stick a probe in there to see how done they are in the middle, but they should feel nice and tender on the outside. Now just paint them up with your nice Q sauce. Put the lid back on and give them 5 more minutes. I decided to give them a second basting. However many times you want to glaze them up is depending on how thick you want your glaze to be in the end, and that will depend on how thick your sauce is as well. Another 5 minutes and I thought they were perfect and ready to go. These were seriously so good that I will definitely have to make them on a more of a regular basis for myself. The possibilities are endless when it comes to the filling and sauce combinations. Next time I might go with jalapenos inside as well. In this case, the only thing that I would have done differently is make more of them if I had a larger grill. They are so tender and moist and delicious. The very ends are slightly crispity, but not hard. I did want to point out that you could parboil the shells before stuffing them if you don't like crispity edges. However, they will tend to split on you when you stuff them if you parboil them, and it will make the stuffing process much harder to accomplish. However you decide to make them, they will surely be a hit for you and your friends. Bring a big pile of these to any party and see what happens. Thanks so much to Deadfool for suggesting these to me. Remember, you can always find my content on YouTube, Odyssey, and Rumble. Follow me on Truth Social and Twitter. And if you make any of my recipes, make sure to tag me on Instagram. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next episode.